What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, Panthers Advice. Now, I normally don't go live right in the morning, but we're trying out something new on Fridays. All right, I was going to do Thursdays, but I was like, Thursdays may not work. We might try Friday morning, Friday afternoon. So this isn't for sure yet, but we're going to start doing a weekly recap. Everything we talked about, Monday through Thursday, and then what to expect moving forward. So definitely going to be something new moving forward. But today, man, we're going to kick it off talking about Bryce Young and really what to expect from him moving forward. And I go back to 2023, all right, with Frank Reich against Atlanta. He threw almost 40 passes his first NFL game. All right, second NFL game, he threw 33 passes, and that was with that bad offensive line. And really threw no picks that second week. And then just like last year, he didn't play week 3 against Seattle because he got hurt. And go back to last year, he didn't play against the Raiders because he got benched. So we'll see what happens with Bryce Young. Year 3, will he play week 3 for the first time in his NFL career? Because if you take a look right here, he hasn't yet. And I'm shocked that the Panthers passed it almost 40 times his rookie year in his first NFL game. I'm not going to lie, that shocked me a little bit when I was going through the stats. But it's going to be interesting to see, because if you go back the last 2 years, look at Bryce Young through week 1, through week 2, he hasn't been great statistically, right? So he's shown flashes at the end of the season the last 2 years. Hopefully against Arizona, we can jumpstart it a little bit, right? He played pretty good against Arizona last year, right? Panthers started to allow a little bit of lead, got pressure on Kyler Murray late, ended up winning. But he did have a pretty good game. Now, with that being said, no Adam Thielen, no Coker. We'll see what happens, right? You got Hunter Renfrow, and Renfrow didn't play as bad as some people make it seem. I'm going to be honest. He didn't play great, but Renfrow didn't play bad. He's not the same kind of route runner that Thielen is after that jump, right? Off the rip, Hunter's a beast, right? Same thing with that wheel route he ran. He's a beast. But after that, he doesn't always put himself in the best position, right? And if you go back to watching him in Vegas, he was a beast off the line, but sometimes he put himself in an unnecessary risk to take a hit. So hopefully him and Bryce Young get on the same page. Jatavion Sanders, again, same thing applies there. He's a receiving first tight end, so hopefully him and Bryce Young can find a connection. I think T-Mac is going to be an essential part, and not just through receiving. I think the Panthers have to find a way to use him to bring the safety down, right? There were so many routes. I think he had 8 targets. We'll get to him in a little bit. He had 8 targets, and half of them were like 10-yard hits. Now I get it, right? Jaguars play underneath, or they're playing over the top. At some point, throw T-Mac, the jump ball. Right, that's the whole reason you drafted him. 6 foot, 6'4", 6'5"? Give him a shot, right? So Bryce Young heading into week 2, hopefully we see an improvement, unlike his first 2 years, right? 22 for 33, 1 touchdown, no picks. I guess it's not the worst thing his rookie year. Then you go back to last year, 18 for 26, 1 interception, sacked twice. And the Panthers lost 3-26. So hopefully heading into week 2, we see an improvement. My thoughts on Bryce Young right now, he played good against the Cardinals last year. Will it continue? We'll see what happens. Next up, let's talk about our rookies real quick. Let's talk about them. So you got McMillan, you got Lathan Ransom, you got Trevor, you got the tight end Mitchell, you got the big TT, you got Nick Scorton, you got Princely, you got Jimmy Horn. There's been a lot of talk of, should the Panthers be playing them more? And I've been on a Vero, all week kind of about that. But at the same time, I have to look at it like this. It is week 1, right? So I don't want to say if Vero is in the doghouse, right? Because it's only week 1. But at the same time, I think you have to rotate them in more, right? With Lathan, with Princely, with Nick, and not just play halves like I've talked about all week. Put them in more. I mean, you've had them all of training camp. You had them all of preseason. you should kind of know what their strengths are by now. Let's take a look at a couple comments real quick. What's going on, Nicole? What's going on, Brad? Cowboys. I view week 1 more like the Cowboys lost this last season's. Yeah, I can agree with you there. But with the rookies, man, it's going to be interesting to see how good this draft class will be, right? Last 2 years were, I don't know. All right. But this year, I see potential, right? But I also see not potential if they don't get enough playing time. Now, I don't want to compare Nick Scorton or Princely to DJ Johnson, because DJ Johnson, they took him, he was 2 years from playing college ball, I think, college basketball, just started playing football. I don't want to put them in that category, but if you don't play them enough, you potentially stunt their growth, right? So I would like to see them get more playing time in general and kind of save the veterans too, right? That was the whole problem with Josie Jewell and Shaq Thompson, which we'll get to in a little bit. You had them playing all the time, and I get it, linebackers, it's a little bit different, right? Inside linebackers playing the mic. But the injuries, right, kept piling up. DJ Wanham coming off an injury. You had Patrick Jones. I think the X-rays were negative. Kind of same thing applies there. If you've got rookies, just play them. And here's my thing with Evero is this right here. Can it get any worse? Right? Can it honestly get any worse from last year or the year before that? To me, it can't. So just play the rookies. Just play them, because somehow, according to the stats, you gave up exactly 200 yards rushing on the ground again. And what is this, like the 7th straight game? Just play the rookies. Give them a chance. Let them learn. Let them develop. Just like I talked about in yesterday's video, you're on a 2 to 3 year contract hire most times, right? Unless you do something great, then it extends to 3 to 4 years, right? After that, something great you do. You're not really coming off a great year, a great last 2 years. Just play the rookies. Give them a shot. See what they can do. I don't know why he's so stuck in his ways as of right now, just playing the veterans, right? I don't understand that at all. And same thing could be said about not playing Jimmy Horn. Now, offense as a whole didn't look great from the offensive line. Tight ends came to blocking, didn't do great either, to be honest with you. Receivers didn't play great, and then Bryce Young obviously didn't play great at all either. So definitely blame to go around everywhere. But when it comes to the rookies, I kind of want to see them play more, right? What's going on, Dark? Defense needs to dominate this week, or the Evero rage gone continue. I agree. I don't know if the defense will dominate, to be honest, just because it is going to be going to the Cardinals, James Conner, Kyler Murray. I hope so. Maybe that's what this team needs, right? Trevor Lawrence is a pocket quarterback. He's not going to leave the pocket. And I think Princely, honestly, they all probably play better, including Patrick Jones, if they play against a quarterback that's going to leave the pocket, right? Trevor Lawrence, he's your prototypical quarterback. He's not leaving, right? So maybe against Kyler Murray, Kyler wants to challenge one of them one-on-one on the outside, kind of like Shador did. We'll see how they do. Let's take a look at the depth chart real quick, though. So first up is going to be offense. I know they changed a couple things. Running back's still the same. Hold on, let me move that again. Chuba, Rico, Trevor, Bryce Young, Andy Dalton. Receivers, not much has changed there. All right, you still got Austin Corbett playing the center. So not much changed offensively, it looks like. I would like to see Jimmy Horn in more. Again, offense didn't play great, so I can kind of see why you didn't play him to a point, right? There was really I'm not going to say no need, but I don't know that it made sense that he was going to do anything different, considering the Jaguars were playing over the top and really allowing Bryce to throw anything underneath, right? Let's keep it going. Let's look at the defense real quick. Defensively, all right, so Tershon, he's hurt 2 to 4 weeks, I think. They're going to play Jaden there behind Bobby Brown, Ashawn, Derek Brown. Then you got Patrick Jones, Princely. We're going to get to Trevin in a little bit. Christian didn't play great either. DJ Wanham, Nick Scorton. They had DJ Johnson playing on that one where Trevin Wallace rolls out and hits a tight end wide open. DJ Johnson, once again, not containing the outside. Trevin Wallace essentially just walks, right, and makes that easy throw to the tight end, who also wasn't picked up. So when we look at the defense, we look at Nick Scott blowing tackles, we look at Trevin Wallace getting sucked in, we look at DJ Johnson not containing. There's so much blame to go around with this team. Like, there's so much blame to go around. And it's like, who do you put it on, right? Who do you put the blame on? You can put it all on Avero, but at the same time, an edge guy is supposed to contain, right? This is basics from really, I would say, high school football, right? Start to develop the pass a little bit more, to college, to the NFL, right? Avero does deserve some blame. There's no denying that. But the blame, the match coverage, right? I mean, at some point it's like, okay, it's on the players. Well, then it's who's picking these players? I would assume it's Avero if Dave Canales really doesn't have a say on who's playing, right? Before I might say, okay, it's on Dave Canales or it's on so-and-so, right, for drafting these guys. But based off the comments we've seen from the press conference and Dave kind of slipping up potentially, it seems like it's Avero picking these guys. And when things don't go right, you kind of have to point back to him. Because if Trevin Wallace doesn't see the tight end going over the top, if DJ Johnson is constantly blowing contain the last, 2 to 3 years now, at some point you got to make a change, right? And I get it, Avero sees potential in DJ Johnson, right? But you can't keep having this happen. It's the same thing when the Panthers played the Bears 2 years ago against Tyson Bagent. It's the same thing. He just kept rolling out to his right every single time. And then Trevin, so many plays get sucked in. At some point, we got to make a change. Now, that being said, I thought the defensive backs played pretty good, to be honest with you. Mike J, JC Horn. Trayvon, I felt like he was still learning the defense. I felt like in Vegas, he was more of a kind of a free roamer, kind of like you're going to see Buddha play in Arizona, right? That's kind of how I saw Trayvon. But in the Avero system, it's a little bit more strict, right? You don't get as much leeway. I think Trayvon's going to have to learn that. Or not going to have to, he's going to have to learn that, right? So Damani Richardson, I think, has to play. I think you have to find packages for him. There's no way that Avero keeps him on the team, right? And then doesn't have a spot for him. It makes no sense. It's just like when they had Jeremy Chin. It almost feels like we're doing this all over again, right? The whole Jeremy Chin experiment. And maybe Damani gets traded. All right, let me get a drink real quick. But maybe Damani gets traded when it's all said and done, and it's a repeat of the Jeremy Chin situation. I hope not. I think there's a lot of packages you can play Damani in, but it feels like that's kind of the route we're headed towards, is Damani is the new Jeremy Chin. Now, I don't know, man. I don't know where to go from that. All right. So that's kind of my thoughts on the depth chart, right? And what I hope to see moving forward. I don't think the team is bad. I just think players aren't disciplined, and someone's got to take the blame for that. Next up is the defensive production. All right. And you look right here, Panthers rushing yards allowed 200. 200. Like, to me, it seems crazy that the Jaguars didn't get 199 or 201. They got exactly 200 yards rushing on the ground. So what is this? I think it was the 7th, 8th, or 9th straight game where the Panthers have allowed 200 yards rushing. You kind of have to point to Avero to a point. Then you have to look at injuries. And something I want to look at real quick is this right here. Is Shaq. Now, what are we going to look at with Shaq? Shaq's contract. If I'm not mistaken, somebody comment if I'm missing something here. Shaq's contract when he went to Buffalo this year is what, $1 million? 1.03. The Panthers couldn't do that. Right, so now who is in linebacker room? You got Christian Roseboom, new to the Panthers. You got Trevin Wallace in his second year. It's like, I get that the Panthers, they want to develop the young guys, but at the same time, who's going to help develop them? Coaches can only do so much, right? Coaches can help you in the fundamentals. But in a game situation, when the left guard's pushing towards you, and the right guard, center, tackle, whoever it might be, receiver on the crack, whatever it might be, only the players can kind of give advice about certain players kind of coming towards you, how to maneuver towards them, right? And I feel like that's what the Panthers are missing right now with the linebacking core is this right here, right? Is a veteran for the linebackers because they've got what? Claude, Thomas Incoom. I mean, no disrespect to them, but it's not Shaq. And if you could have had Shaq for $1 million, I mean, I feel like the Panthers, they kind of missed out, right? I feel like they missed out on having somebody help out the defense because you saw time and time again against the Jags just sucked in, right? Or play action, bang, crosser right over the top, and their guys are wide open. So let me know your thoughts, right? Do you wish the Panthers would have signed Shaq for $1 million? I mean, considering they didn't make a ton of moves after the first few days, I think they could have afforded this, if we're being honest. And also, given the depth that they don't have there in the inside linebacking core, I don't think it would have been a terrible thing. Now, you could say if you signed him, you'd have to start him. You can make that argument, and I would get that. But I do think Shaq could potentially help out this team in a different way. But let me know your thoughts on that. Let's keep it going. Back to the defensive production real quick. Let's take a look. And Panthers get awarded with longest rush allowed of the season so far at 71 yards allowed. So you see right there, 200 yards allowed rushing, and then the longest rush allowed, man. Not a good look. And on top of that, all right, defensive production, 0 sacks. 0 sacks. Now, the Eagles, they played the Ravens. You had Lamar Jackson. That's... Oh, wait, no. Eagles played the Cowboys, right? Yeah, Bills played the Ravens. So Eagles played the Cowboys. They didn't get a sack. That's kind of shocking, to be honest with you. Lions played the Packers with Jordan Love, and the Panthers played the Jaguars. So the Packers, right? The Cowboys, Jaguars. I mean, you see where I'm going? Decent, or Packers are pretty good. Cowboys are pretty good offense. Jaguars. All right, let's look at a couple comments real quick. Yep. Kyler gonna ball on us. No gain tackles or pressure while we 10 feet back on yeah, I mean, Marcus, I get it, right? If Vera loves to play 10 yards back for whatever reason, I don't know why. I guess he doesn't want to get beat over the top, but then he'll send a blitz, right? And then they get beat over the top anyway. So it's like, at some point, I wish you would just stick with one or the other because they're not blitzing well, right? Avero's a tough defensive coordinator to have. I need to do film on him, figuring out, kind of what went so good with him and the Broncos that made them say, okay, it's the coach, not the players, right? That's my thing. What went so good? I don't know. Because in the Rams, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he had Aaron Donald, right? So I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. Next up is T-Mac. Let's talk about him real quick. So T-Mac, man, I gotta say, as somebody who was on that Jalen Walker train, I kind of had high expectations for T-Mac. Heading into training camp, I was okay, he's definitely done his thing. Then you see preseason, he did exactly what you asked him. And then against the Jaguars, you saw they played over the top. And so when he was having to run a 10-yard hitch, right, curl, out route, whatever, he made the catch, right? DB's right on because they're playing 10 yards, basically giving him the underneath routes. And if you go 7-8 yards deep, right, they're going to try and jump it. T-Mac did his thing for Bryce Young. The thing is now is who's going to compliment him. I talked about this all off season long. T-Mac can do his thing, right? You lose Adam Thielen though, so that's big. Who's going to compliment him until Coker gets back? And that's what we're going to have to find out, right? Is we go to the depth chart. Let's take a look real quick. Pull up that depth chart again. And look at the depth chart. You got David Moore. I mean, David Moore, man, I don't know. You got Hunter Renfrow, and you got Leggett. Leggett is one that should complement him. I just don't know how much longer it's going to take for Leggett to get to that next step. I feel like he has progressed, right? But I don't know that he's at that next step yet to be a number 2 for sure. Do I think he can? Yes. I do think Leggett can be a number 2. I just don't know that he's there yet. And I guess the Panthers really don't have a choice, right? Because you got Bryson behind him and then Jimmy Horn Jr., which didn't see a single snap, which is also a little bit confusing. So while Dave was kind of talking about Evero, I was a little shocked that Jimmy Horn didn't get any burn time either as far as a jet sweep or something, because we know when the Panthers signed Amir Smith-Marset, they found a way to use him pretty quickly, if I'm not mistaken. When the Panthers signed Devin Tompkins, right, from Tampa Bay, Dave's guy, Dave found a way to use him. And again, it's only week 1, so I don't put too much stock into it. But I feel like, man, if you're going to keep Jimmy Horn, you drafted him in the 6th round, let's find a way to use him, right? Let's find a way to make him impactful in this game. Force the defense to come up. And that's the thing, right? Jaguars played over the top, just kind of like how Evero was playing his defense. To me, that seems promising for a guy like Jimmy Horn more than anybody else, right? Tedero, I think he thrives more on the deep pass. He's got good route running, but if you look at the roster, you got Hunter Renfrow there too. But Jimmy Horn, to me, seems like the obvious choice when you get defenses that play 10 yards back. You know, I just don't understand what the Panthers are doing on offense or defense, right? Drafting rookies and then not playing them when it seems like the time is right. Now, maybe there's something we don't know, but, you know, as far as I'm concerned, Jimmy Horn definitely has to get some burn this week. Next up is the safety concerns. And we just talked about this earlier. You got Trayvon. Let's see. Can I move this? I don't know if I can move that or not. Let me take a look real quick. You've got Trayvon. All right. You got Nick Scott. You got Damani. You got Lathan. The problem is Nick Scott. But the other problem is this right here. Let me see if I can find a screenshot I took yesterday. Let me see something real quick. Because while Evero is the problem to a point, Nick Scott is also a problem. And then you compound the two, right? Let me see if I can. Boom, 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 boom. Let's do. Give me one sec, guys. Because I didn't put this part into yesterday's video. I was like, I won't do it. I will show you guys what I'm talking about real quick. To kind of see it's on Nick Scott, but then it's kind of on Evero too. Let me get rid of something real quick. Get rid of the Bryce Young stuff. Boom, 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 boom. I hope everybody is having a good Friday though. But let's look at this real quick. Because you're going to see it's not necessarily on one or the other. It's kind of on both. So let's upload that. Image, screenshot. So let's look at this picture real quick. And I was going to put in yesterday's video. I was like, there's two ways to look at this. So the first thing we have to do is kind of understand what the Jaguars are doing. And essentially, this is the same kind of scheme that the Panthers ran when the get didn't dot the I, right? So all you're doing is you're going to have a low read down here, right, bang, and then a high read right over the top, right? Exactly what the Panthers did with Leggett. Exactly what they did on that corner route. Now, the reason I'm pointing this out is Nick Scott, if I'm not mistaken, Nick Scott is 10, 20, or is that's 10, 20, 30, 40 yards from the quarterback. Now, obviously it doesn't matter how many yards he is from the quarterback, but just in general speaking, he's 40 yards away from the quarterback. All right, in a cover 2 look, he's 15 yards from the receiver on his side. Now in a cover 2, the mic is going to travel, so it's not like he has to worry about, right here in the middle per se, because the mic's going to travel with it. So if it gets to that point, bang, he can work his way back over there. He's 20 yards from the slot right there. He's 15 yards off his guy. No, I get it, right? There's 42 seconds left till the half is over, so you don't want to allow anything deep. But what do you want the DBs to do playing the flat, right? You want him to play farther back here? That's not going to work. So, wow, Nick Scott, he's definitely not the best safety. This isn't the first time I've seen this either, because if you go back and look at the Bengals game against Joe Burrow, it's the same thing that they did with the cover 2. It's the exact same thing. Just drop guys immediately, run backwards 10, 15 as the play develops 20, 30 yards. All right, who touched on this? Was it Trey Boston and Jonathan Stewart? I meant to clip it, but they talked about, kind of recognizing the run and then making your way up, not still being 10, 15 yards back like we saw in the ETN run. That's kind of why I wanted Trayvon to play the free safety, because I had a feeling this was going to happen right here. Right? Now Merrick didn't have the best game. Okay, I get that. But I knew with Nick Scott, if he's our last line of defense, this is what we were getting, right? He's not a 2000 safety, a 90 safety. He's a 2015 safety, the new safeties, right? That's what Trey Boston and Stewart were talking about. Being able to recognize the run and then making a play, not let the running back beat you to the spot. Because if the running back is a two-way option versus Nick Scott, he's gone. And really against any safety. Let's look at some comments real quick. What do we got? Are we hoping that Coker can save the team? Not convinced. Marcus, I'm not saying Coker's going to save the team per se. I just think somebody else is going to have to, do something other than McMillan. Because teams are going to stop him pretty quick. Somebody else is going to have to make a move, right? And part of that's on the receiver, but part of that is also up to Bryce Young and also Dave Canales too. It's Tepper's fault. I hate to. Yeah, it is. Bad football period, to say the least. Offensively and defensively, it's terrible football. Justin, great content. I appreciate that, my guy. But safety concerns is this, guys. It's this. Right, and maybe I can upload the clip from yesterday real quick too. Let me see if I have it. Boom, 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 boom. We can kind of take a look. Let me see if I still have it. Oh, not that one. Let's see. No, it's in here somewhere. That's Bryce Young. Is it this one? It might be this one. Let's take a look. Oh, this might be it. No, that's from. That is from. Let me find 910. All right, here we go. All right, I got the clip. We got the clip. Let's bring that over on this side over here. Love your podcast. You were straight up tell like it is. No sugarcoating. I appreciate that, Daryl. Sometimes I'm known for sugarcoating things a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you. Right, I try to keep things semi-optimistic, but at this point, man, it's... Woo! It's not good. All right, so we talked about the rushing yards. We talked about the sacks. Yeah, we talked about the Shaq Thompson. We'll touch on Trevin in a little bit. Let's upload the video file real quick. Alrighty. What did I name that? PA Ed Boys 10. There it is.
The coaches are not allowed to talk to the players.
Also, I talked about this in yesterday's video as well. You know, the whole snap count, right? letting it to 1, letting it to almost 0. Actually, one of them, it was 0 on third down at that, right? And where Dave Canales can no longer talk to Bryce after 15 seconds. There's a lot of confusion heading into week 2 that I don't think should have been heading into week 2 since it's year 2 with Dave Canales and Bryce Young, right? But if you haven't already, go check out that video. That was yesterday. But let's take a look at some of the plays, all 22 wise. Let's take a look. Boom, 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 boom. Let me get rid of bang, bang, bang. So let's see what we got right here. Oh, that's Bryce Young with the pick. Well, it's just the offense. All right, I thought I was uploading defense, but I guess we can take a look at the offense too. No, I want to look at defense. Where's my defensive stuff at? Where's my defense? Is it this one? It might be this one right here. All right, yeah, this is defense. My bad, guys. My bad. All right. Offense, I think everyone's gone over enough where you guys have seen it. From me to NFL Network, to ESPN, to other Panthers creators, I think we've talked about offense enough. Defense, though, defense is a whole nother issue. Let's take a look at some comments real quick. Bryce is not that guy. He needs everything to be perfect. I mean, at last few weeks, he looked good at the last season. So we'll see. Gives me Clausen vibes. Kind of more with that 4th and 1. So we have Austin. Nice to meet you, Daryl. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, this team, I feel like it's close, but then sometimes it's not close. It was just back and forth. And Braveheart, I get it about Bryce Young. I'm just, like I said before, when Daryl says something about no sugarcoating. Sometimes, man, I like to give the benefit of the doubt. And I don't know, Bryce Young, he'll show you flashes, but then he'll go back to exactly what he was before, right? Giving me Clausen vibes with that play clock, kind of more with that 4th and 1. Yeah, I agree. Hey, chill, I'm like a villain. Hope your Friday is going well, my guy. Let's pull up the defense. So let's pull up the defense. I think it should be this one. Yep. All right.
Here we are. They're all of a sudden
Dave
is not
Canales.
Here.
Came out of it.
So we all know who this reporter is, and I'll give him props because I don't think anybody else, and that was a thumbnail, was gonna ask Dave's this question. But you can always count on who to ask it. Let's take a listen.
Indicated Monday that you were going to push the defensive staff to maybe look at some younger guys. Did you have that conversation, and what came out of it?
Yeah, I was honestly just addressing a question. Our staff knows, we all know here, we are developmentally minded. That's our philosophy, whether that goes with our staff, raising and teaching our staff, or whether that's with all of our players. You get 46 guys on game day 3.
Let me pause it real quick. Let me get another drink real quick. Back to the developmentally minded. How are we going to develop? We don't really have a veteran over the top to help develop. Now, I get it. You bring guys in. But again, I go back to it's different. Right? Because they're not there in the huddle. You see what I'm saying? Like the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bills, probably a couple of the teams, they do it well. Well, they'll have a guy till he's 28, 29, draft the next replacement, have him teach him the ways, right? Whether it's purpose or not. And then bang, they move on from him. It feels like the Panthers are just recycling rookies at this point, especially the receiver position. We're just going to keep bringing in guys. And I get it. They don't want to bring in Patrick Peterson. They didn't want to bring in the Colts safety or the Ravens safety. I get that. But at some point, you have to have veterans. All right, let's take a look what else he said.
3 of them are special teamers. You got 43. These guys all have to play at some point, And so I was really just kind of talking about that. Like, these are the guys. They're all going to have to play at some point, and just continuing to pour into them because the opportunities, here we go. We have an opportunity now. Turk Wharton all of a sudden is not here. Now Jaden Crumedy has to play a bigger role, and that's kind of what I was alluding to, and just giving a little bit of reference and background.
I mean, Dave's trying to play PR, and yeah, I see that. Dart. Yeah, Newton be always asking messy questions, but I think this time it was warranted, right? Follow up, see what else he said. So, young guys should be playing. I agree. Let's look at some defense real quick. Panthers did go out and sign defensive tackle because Tershon got hurt, and they signed it as safety to Israel Mukum. I don't really know who he is. Apparently, he played 4 seasons with the Cowboys. So, we'll see what happens there, right? Maybe I'll do some video on him before the game on Sunday. I don't know how much time he's going to get, though, because if they have the money, they're not playing him. Actually, if they play him without playing Damani, that's going to be crazy. That's actually going to be crazy. Marcus, we need to see Cam Jackson and Horn. As far as Sunday, or what are you talking about there, Marcus? But first play, we're looking at the film. This is kind of what I'm talking about with, was it Trayvon here? Right? Merrick and Roseboom. Take a look. Tight end. Right over the top right here. All right. Merrick's expecting inside help from Roseboom right here. Roseboom, all right, he's watching the quarterback. He sees him looking right. Now, here's my thing with Roseboom right here. If this was supposed to be kind of a match look, cover 3, and he's got the tight end running at him, shouldn't he start to turn his hips a little bit, right, to run with the tight end, not lock in on the quarterback? Because if you look what the Jaguars do right here, right, a switch concept, he's going to run a post bang, all right, the inside guy, he's going to run basically a fade right there. Christian can't play that. He can't play that. Now, maybe he's worried about Trevor Lawrence potentially escaping outside the pocket. But the second that tight end comes towards you, to me, you got to book it with them, right? Merrick's expecting inside help. You can't give that over the top, right? And that happened within the first 5 minutes. Then we're going to see right here, play action, right? Bang. Lawrence is going to roll out. And I mean, this is just how bad the defense is from top to bottom. I mean, if we pause it right here, hold on. We're going to pause it right here. Roseboom and Mike J all pointing, hey, he's telling Nick Scott, you pick up Brian Thomas Jr. Roseboom's telling somebody to pick up the tight end. And it was probably or supposed to be Trevin Wallace. But you see, Trevin Wallace is doing exactly what Roseboom did on the last play. So if you go back right here, take a look. JC Horn's going to man him up no matter what. Goes outside, bang, JC Horn has him. Over the top, JC. This way, JC, right? Same thing would happen if Brian Thomas was lined up over here. Mike J would pick him up. And you see, he just walks right in. And the worst part about it is, DJ Johnson, unless I'm missing something, I'm not sure what DJ Johnson's doing right here, to be honest. I don't understand the logic, because you give up contain, right? So he bites down, just shoves into the tackle, which I don't know what that's doing, to be honest. I don't know what that's doing. And then Trevor Lawrence is going to roll out and make an easy throw, right? So you see how many things went wrong just on this play alone. Let's keep it going. Oh, okay, I see, Marcus. I see you. Yeah. They definitely have to show out. Then we have one of the worst blitz teams on defense. And I think that's because we don't blitz enough, to be honest. I think when you blitz, it's just like running the ball, right? They talk about Trey Boston, Stewart went over this as well, right? Where it's like teams will run the ball and there's 4 or 5 plays that potentially are going to be big. But are you good enough to stop them from happening, right? And so the Panthers, when it comes to blitzing, you got to blitz more than just 4 or 5 times, especially before you go down by a lot, because you can't give the quarterback confidence. Trevor Lawrence, when the Panthers finally did blitz, he wasn't worried. He wasn't remotely worried. So, yes, our blitz percentage as far as success isn't great, because I don't think we blitz enough, to be honest. And then I think if Bureau starts to, when it's too late, right? He'll try and play it safe. And when the Panthers start losing, it's like, all right, screw it. Balls to the wall. Let's just blitz. Unfortunately. Let's keep it going, though. Next play. Oh, this was the cover 2. Right? This was the cover 2 look. I mean, look how much time he has. Right? This is why the defense is the way it is. You know, and let's take a look. Let's time it real quick. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 seconds, and no one was going to get near him. 4 seconds. And the Panthers blitz how much? What? 4 people? Let's take a look. Run that back. So they blitz 4. I mean, he probably could have had 5 or 6, to be honest with you. You know, and then he's hitting that with the. I mean, he could have gone to any of his 4 or 5 targets, right? Right there in the middle is picked up in the cover 2 look. 4 of the 5 targets, Trevor Lawrence is making that with these. Maybe J.C. Horn might play that. I don't know. Trevor Lawrence would have to throw that pretty far inside. And again, I go back and forth on this play because of Vero. He doesn't want to give up anything over the top. But at the same time, it's like, it's just rough, right? Because eventually the Jaguars, you know, they would go on to kick a field goal, right? Let's take a look at the next one after this. 42 seconds, jumps down to 29 right here. So take a look what happens right here. All right, cover 3 look once again. Jaguars expose it. Did we get pressure? Let's take a look. All right, 1, 2, 3. It's an easy read, right? Cover 3 look. I believe right here. All right, quick flat from the running back. Bang. Cover 3. He's going to play that down there. And then bang, just inside. Why? Because J.C. Horn has the deep third right here. So bang, pull him there. Drop him to the flat. And this is just wide open. You know, because you're occupying the mic over here. Push him. Bada bing, bada boom. Right? The Panthers cover 3. It's just bad, right? Seams are really the weakness to that, and they just gave it up. And they didn't give it up. It wasn't by a choice, right? That's just what happens when you play cover 3. And the Jaguars exposed it. You said Trevor Lawrence had the whole day to read. Yeah, it's just bad, right? And then I think right here they're going to blitz. Okay, so right here they blitz. And they do the same concept as before. And the worst part about the blitz, all right, so what? They blitz J.C. Horn up the edge, and they blitz Merrick right here too. There's really not a lot of pressure. DJ Wonnum would get in there, but at that point it's 4 seconds. And it seems crazy, but take a look, all right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 seconds. You overload that left side, and you only it takes you 4 seconds to get to the quarterback. The Jaguars were blitzing 3 or 4 and getting to Bryce Young in 4 seconds. We blitz how many? Let's take a look. What, 4, 5, maybe 6? Maybe just 5 right there. We drop guys back. You see what I'm saying, though? We overload and we still don't create pressure, right? This is the problem right here. And then allowing this, right? Cover 3 once again. You know, he's got that deep third, but he also has to play anything underneath. This is money right there, potentially. And then same thing happens over here, right? Cover 3, safety's going to drop down, potentially play the seam. But if you've got a slot receiver, taking him deep, right? Diggs going to be open underneath. And bada bing, bada boom, right? I mean, they're just getting exposed. And right here was just similar to the first play. All right, let's go back real quick. Or look at this one real quick. Play action once again. Bang. I think this was Travis Hunter on the crosser. Trevin Wallace is worried about the quarterback. You see what I'm saying? It's like they're copying each other. So Trevin Wallace right here, he's worried about Trevor Lawrence potentially running. And what happens? Travis Hunter goes over the top. Go back to the first play. It's right here. Let's take a look. Trevor Lawrence play action. Christian Roseboom, worried about Trevor Lawrence scrambling. All right. Like, you can't make this up. The same concept, and both of our starting inside linebackers get beat over the top. It's just it's just not a good look no matter where you look, right? And what happens is on this one, Merrick's going to come up, right? He's going to play underneath. JC Horn's going to go deep. And Trevin bites. Trevin bites bad. Then right here, they're going to blitz Trevin Wallace. This was the one where I just shook my head at, right? They blitz Trevin Wallace right here. Just take a look. We're going to play it. Him and DJ Johnson just go down. And look at the pocket for Trevor Lawrence. I don't know why if I'm being honest, I don't know why Trevor Lawrence is playing inside. Like, they're blitzing him, right? I mean, he just gets bullied right there. To me, he's got to play outside. I don't know, man. I don't see why they think this is going to work. I really don't. It's just bad. And then him and DJ Johnson together on 2nd and 10. With DJ Johnson, if he's still on the team, I don't understand. Let's go a bit bigger for this one. If DJ Johnson's still on the team, I'm just confused as to what the plan is. Right? You can keep playing him every single down. You can do that, and you've done that for the last couple of years on and off, right? But he hasn't gotten any better. If the Panthers want to win, I'm curious if Nick or Princely are better on the edge than DJ Johnson is. Only because DJ Johnson, remember, he's still semi-new to the game. I'd be willing to potentially bet that they're potentially better on the edge, to be honest, you know? I mean, maybe I'm mistaken, but to keep playing DJ Johnson right here, how much time was left? This was third quarter. The game wasn't away, right? Because if T-Mac catches that one in the end zone, it's 10-20. I think, a whole quarter left, if I'm not mistaken. But to play DJ over the other two, I don't know that we're trying to win, if I'm being honest. I like to think DJ could still have potential. I see you down there, Douglas. We'll get to that in a second. I'd like to think that DJ could have potential, right? I'd like to think the best in people. But him playing on this 2nd and 10 right here, I just don't get it. I really don't, because he blew contain earlier in the game. When was this? You know, I think this is part of the problem too is, well, this was like second quarter, 8 minutes left. Yeah. He's done this time and time again. And I think that's half the problem with the Panthers is there's no accountability. And Dave Canales just now called out somebody. And I guess this is his second year, so I won't put too much stock into that. But Dave Canales just called out somebody. All right. Obviously, he's frustrated. He calls out Nick Scott. DJ Johnson has constantly, been blowing contain. And he hasn't been getting pass rush. And yet he still gets to stay out there. Where Nick and Princely only get to play a half. I don't understand what the coaches are thinking. Right? Are we just giving everybody leeway? Now, I'm not saying we need to run it like a Bill Belichick system. No, I'm not saying that at all. But at some point, accountability has to be held somewhere. It's just like when Bryce Young threw a pick against the Chargers last year and came off smiling to Chuba Hubbard. Everybody was mad. Everybody. It's like, really, Bryce, coming to year 2, throwing a pick to start the season, and it's funny to you? Now he's throwing his helmet, so I guess that's an improvement, but accountability sucks with this team. And you can see just right here that this play is going to work. Right? I mean, you can just see, because even if they did a drag and then a corner route, bang, you get a high-low read. If Mike J goes, it's just bad. Play action. It's just not a good look, right? DJ Johnson is listed as third string. Why is he even in the game? And I go back to that depth chart. I do have it. They have Bobby Brown playing as the defensive end too. Bobby Brown to me is more the defensive tackle. Ashawn's, the end. Unless the Panthers got it wrong, I think the depth chart's just full of what, right? Right, when it's all said and done, the depth chart's full of what. But I mean, you can't be giving this up, man. You can't be giving this up. And I think Brad, the offensive coordinator, talked about what the joint camp practices too, like how much they mean to the team and stuff. Again, it's not the same. It's not. I hate to break it to them, and I know Brad, he wants to keep his job, so he's not going to go against the head coach. So I get it. I'm not going to blame Brad at all for his statement, but these whole joint practices, thinking that they're just as good as preseason, they're not. Now, the reason they are good is because it's, to me, a less risk of injury, right? Less toll on the body. But to say they're the same as a game situation, no. They're really not, because the plays also being called aren't the same either, right? They're going back to the basics with these plays. Quarterbacks can't be touched. You're not going 100%, right? Receivers aren't going 100%. Linebackers definitely aren't going 100%. It's just tough, man. It's tough. I think we about touched on everything today, though. Let me know what you guys think of the live stream. Trevin Wallace, we talked about him. When the Panthers took him, and let me make sure I get this right, because I don't want to mess this up real quick. Trevin Wallace draft. What was he? The Panthers took Trevin in the 3rd round. That's right. Let me see. 2024 Carolina Panthers draft picks. All right. So we'll go to 2024. They took Leggett, which to me they reached for, right? They took Jonathan Brooks. Am I just now? No, I'm not just now realizing it, but man, oh man. Let me see if I can find a picture. I can just bring it over here real quick. Man, oh man. Let's see. Really can't find a picture anywhere. All right, here we go. Boom, boom, boom. Let's bring this thing up. Let's bring it up, shall we? So let's go. Boom, boom, boom. Actually, we still need to look at that. I forgot about that. All right, image file. All right, let's look at this real quick. So this was a draft last year, right? So they obviously reached on, right? We all knew that. Brooks, you've seen Dave's offense, right? It's run, pass. So coming off an ACL tear, they reached on him. Trevin Wallace, a little bit undersized at linebacker. They reached on him. Sanders, I thought, was good. Shaw Smith-Wade, they took a flyer on because he played outside corner in college, but they wanted to play the slot. He's progressed pretty good. Okay, Shaw Smith-Wade has definitely done his thing. Crumdy, we're going to see what happens, right? Dave said he's going to be playing in insertion of Tershawn Wharton, so we'll see what happens there. And then Michael Barrett, who they traded to get, our second string DB. As of right now, the first 3 picks aren't looking great, if I'm being honest. Now, I think there's potential with Leggett. I think Brooks could be a dynamic running back, but 2 ACL tears, you're just playing with fire at that point, right? You're playing with fire. But if he has the passion to come back, I'm all for it, but they drafted Trevor. That's a whole other discussion. Then you got Trevin Wallace as well. Again, Wallace being an inside linebacker, to me, some people say he's not a dog. I think sometimes things almost happen too fast and he's not aware of it. I think Trevin Wallace can play. I just don't know if this is the system for him, right? A Vero system, because he's not looking great, right? And then you go to Jatavion Sanders. Sanders has shown you flashes, and this is where we have to kind of be, I'm not going to say ease up on certain guys, but there's levels to when you draft a certain player and what to expect. So if you take somebody in the first round, I think it requires more expectation because, one, they're getting paid more money, right? Whereas you look at the 5th, 6th, 7th rounders, hey, if they're great, you know, but if they're not, it's the 5th round, it's the 6th round, it's the 7th round. That's why when they say, you know, only so many cornerbacks made to the Pro Bowl from the 5th round, that's why, right? And so you see Shaw Smith-Wade 5th round, and the way he's progressing, that looked good, you know? So the other person we look at is Sanders. 4th round, it's borderline, right? It's like, what do you really expect from Sanders as a 4th round pick? Tight end, he's shown you flashes. He can be a receiving tight end. Can he be a run blocking tight end? You know, we'll see. But they have Mitchell Evans. They've got Tommy Tremble. So if Sanders can improve and be consistent as a receiving tight end, I think we're good there. But again, I go back to the first 3. I'm like, reach, right? And I think everyone can agree for the most part that Leggett was a reach. Brooks, reach, coming off the ACL tear. And then to have Trevin be your starting inside linebacker in a 3-4, to me is a reach in the 3rd round. But I think we kind of looked past this because it was Dan Morgan, right? Dan Morgan, we thought would, I'm not going to say we thought because there's still a chance Trevin could be great. But we kind of had Dan Morgan's kind of best interest in mind. And we kind of scrutinized it a little bit, but kind of moved past it. But now you're kind of saying, maybe that's not it. All right, let's look at some comments real quick. Jacoby Windman didn't make the 53. I thought Windman played good against Arizona last year too. So, no, you're not the only one, Chris. For Excel. Yeah, Excel, man, you know, I talked about his route running and I got a little bit of pushback on it. And there was another play, which I didn't show it, but Excel, he got pressed pretty good and he fell over. And no one's really said anything, and I was trying to be nice. But Excel's route running, it's not great. You know, everyone talks about him working with Route God. To me, it's the same thing about these. I want to call it a certain name. I'm not going to say anything, but these joint practices, right? It's not the same as a game. When he's working with Route God, it's not the same as a game. Because what happened on one-on-ones, right? Half the time it was good, half the time it wasn't great. So we keep trying to improve off the rip. It's not off the rip that he has trouble with, right? It's the post, it's the corner, it's the deep out, right? It's, to me, what's the word I want to look for here? To me, it's like you never know when the DB is going to turn and break on you, right? And you never know, not necessarily on you, but you never know when he's going to turn his hips to upfield. And the second he does that, bang, right, you want to cut out, right? How fast can XL adapt to the play, right? How fast can he adapt to turning his route in, out, back, forward, left, right, up, down? And to me, he's not great right now. Off the line with Route God, yeah, it looks better. But the second he has to adapt in game, it's just not it right now. And that's why you saw it. And the worst part about the whole thing with XL and the 2 feet is he didn't even think to dot the I. He was like, oh, I got this for sure. Which tells you what, right? It goes back to just like we saw with the linebackers in match coverage, that he hasn't practiced that situation enough, that they haven't gone over that, you know, in these joint practices enough, in practice alone the last 2 years enough. He didn't even think to dot the I. And then he thought for sure he caught it. And you could blame the coaching. Sure, they get a little bit of blame, but then you have to blame XL too, right? If you're running a corner route and Bryce is going to put on the sideline, or Andy Dalton, whoever it is, to me, dot the I should be to not to step out of line here. It should be a second instinct as a wide receiver, especially what he played 4 or 5 years in college. Yeah, T, I agree. He played 4 or 5 years in college, and to not think to dot the I and just to think you got the catch. Like, I see college guys now dot the I, even though in college you only need 1 foot. right? And so that's the thing with Excel is that's great, route god. Congrats, but it's not real. Just like the joint practices, they're not real. Preseason is real, and that's what they're not playing. You know, I don't know, man. Again, I don't want to pick on Excel, but this is just it's tough. All right, let me see. Do I have anything good on offense? What's this? Wednesday, I think. Do I have anything good that we can go over? Let's take a look. Those are the snaps. JC, Merrick, and D Brown have to dominate. Even if they dominate, Chris, the offense has to get going. Like, because here's the thing. JC and Merrick can't do much if they're just going to run the ball consistently down the throat. Right? If they can't produce points, it's going to be 200 yards again every single game. Going against the Cardinals, they may not. Here's the worst part. I forgot about this. This season actually could get kind of, I'm not going to lie. If we gave up 200 to the Jags, oh boy. Because the Panthers season, if I'm not mistaken, it starts off decent, you know, but I'm pretty sure it gets rough in the middle, if I'm not mistaken. Let's take a look. Jags, Cardinals. Okay, so this is it right here. Shout out to whoever made this. I don't know who did it, but let's take a look. Rename it. Airdrop. When I saw the video of the get in the preseason, I was hoping that would transfer to a real game, but it doesn't seem to. Yeah, Doug, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you right now. I'm shocked. But again, I don't know how serious they're taking preseason, though. You know, it's just none of it's making sense right now. None of it's making sense. We might as well trade for Sanders still to season stadium. That's a whole other conversation. We play Green Bay with Micah. Green Bay, man. And that just tells you, right? I was watching First Take, which, you know, it is what it is, right? And it was Stephen A., Dan Orlovsky, and Ryan Clark. And Stephen A. was kind of calling out Orlovsky and Clark for talking about Green Bay's defense all of a sudden. He's like, you guys weren't doing that in the preseason, blah, 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 blah. And like, they didn't have Micah Parsons, right? And that's the difference. Green Bay's defense, you bring in Micah Parsons, and now everything else opens up. On top of Micah still dominating, even though they know he's there on the defense, right? Offensive line wise. He's still dominating. That allows other people to do other things. And Tershawn Wharton was doing his thing. It's a shame he's hurt. But you see what one player can do? One player. Let's pull this up real quick. Let's pull up the schedule real quick. This will be fun. I don't want to predict. You guys can predict in the comments if you want. You know, I'm going to try and not get too negative on this. But Cardinals, you know, we'll see. Falcons, that's going to be interesting. The Patriots look decent. Dolphins, Cowboys, Jets, Bills, Packers, Saints and Falcons, Niners, Rams, Saints, Buccaneers, Seattle. Woo. It's not. I can't say that any games are like, oh, we should win that, because I look at the schedule, I'm like, well, they stunk to bet against the Jags. Are the Cardinals better, or at least as good as the Jags? Yes. Falcons, I don't know what to expect from them yet, right? Week 1. Patriots, they didn't do great. Dolphins didn't look great either, right? But again, who'd they go against? The Colts defense. Colts have a good defense. Or a pretty good defense. So it's like, can the Panthers stop the Dolphins? I don't know. Cowboys. I thought about going to that game against the Cowboys too. But tickets are high, which is fine. But I don't know if I want to sit there for 4 quarters. Given how the team looks now, given how Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Pickens potentially are going to look. The new running back they have is good too. Jets with Justin. I mean, the Bills and Packers. Oh boy, and then Niners. Niners is the Monday night. The only chance that we have against the Niners is if Purdy somehow gets hurt again, right? And I'm not trying to get Purdy hurt, right? But he's hurt right now. Kittle's hurt right now. McCaffrey's injured. That might be the only chance on Monday night that the Panthers beat the Niners. And there's a chance because Kittle and McCaffrey are injury prone, right? So that would be the only chance. Then the Rams. Rams look solid, I think. Buccaneers, Seattle, and the Buccaneers. This could be an ugly last stretch right here. I'm not going to lie. This could be an ugly stretch right here. Coming off this alone, Cowboys, Jets, Bills, Packers. This schedule, man. Ooh, it's rough. Because you go to New York. All right, let's see. This one isn't terrible, right? Miami, Carolina, that's not bad. But you go to New York, you come home versus Buffalo, and then you fly to Wisconsin. I mean, what? Week 9, what are we pushing? Like October, and it's going to be colder. Man. Now, I think this team, now with that being said, I think this team does have potential, right? But when I watch play action play with Roseboom getting beat over the top, and then 2 quarters later, Trevin Wallace gets beat over the top. Those are our 2 starting inside linebackers. It's hard for me to think that they're going to improve to an elite level before let's say week 6 against the Cowboys. I don't know, man. Do I still have the draft? Let me see. Do I still have the guys up here? And I don't think the draft was terrible. I did 1 mock draft. All right, check it out if you want to. You don't have to check it out, but if you want to. I did 1 mock draft. And in the mock draft, the only one I got right was the Panthers drafting Trevor Etienne. That's the only player I picked for the Panthers that I got right. So I like Trevor Etienne a lot. But here's what I question is this right here. Let's go a little bit bigger. What I question is, could the Panthers have got something else in the 4th round instead of Trevor Etienne? I think Trevor Etienne had less than 5 snaps. Could they have got something else as far as inside linebacker or outside or safety or cornerback versus Trevor Etienne? And then there's 2 reasons I say that. 1, 4th round, there's still decent talent. And 2, you put Brooks on the IR, you're expecting him to come back. So it's not like you don't have anybody behind Chuba, behind Rico. You're banking on Brooks coming back. But you're not sure Brooks is going to make it, so you're like, okay, well, it's better to be safe than sorry, so let's draft Trevor in the 4th round. He's there. He's electric. I like him a lot. I'm being honest. I love him a lot. I think he's an electric beast. But the Panthers aren't even using him right now. And behind Chuba's Rico. So instead of keeping the running back room safe just to make sure we have enough depth, we're just going to let the linebacker suffer, the inside linebacker suffer when you've allowed, 6-7 games with 200 yards rushing allowed. That's how you ended the season. But you want to make sure the running back room is safe. It doesn't make sense. I love running backs. I go back to Priest Holmes, LT, Tiki Barber, Brandon Jacobs, Jonathan Stewart, D'Angelo Williams. I loved watching the running backs. But you already had 2 or 3 you could have used. Did you really need to draft Trevor when your run defense was the worst in the NFL? There's a reason they wanted to fire Evero because of the defense. And you go out and you get Trevor. We got to make it make sense. 4th round. There's still... Let me see. Let's see if anybody's proven themselves yet in the 4th round. It's only been week 1. But if I go back, I think there was a safety I liked. We need a defense. Merrick needs to take charge. Someone's got to take charge. defense instead of drafting running backs. Something. I mean, we got to do something. And as of right now, do I see the Panthers picking top 10? Based on that schedule, potentially, I'm not going to lie. Based on that schedule, it's top 10. Let me see. Let me look at that schedule one more time before I say that. Do I see Panthers drafting top 10? Look, it's tough. Because Coker's out for what? At least till week 5, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know, man. It's tough. Let's see. Who did the Panthers took? Billy Bowman. I like Billy Bowman, the safety. A lot of edge guys in that 4th round. Again, we'll have to see once, 2-3 years from now, kind of what happens as far as inside linebackers and if the Panthers missed out or not. But you got Cam Jackson, DT. Wait, hold up. Defensive depth chart. Cam Jackson. I don't know how much Cam Jackson played in preseason. That's the one guy I didn't really check on a lot. Let me know what you guys saw from him. If things don't change quickly, I see them picking top 5. I mean, that's always a possibility. I hope that they're not top. I mean, I don't know. Because I don't want this whole season to be one of those, once again, where it's like making a video is just negativity. I don't want it, But at this rate, it's not looking great. I'm going through the list. Who all played bad? You had, let's go a little bit bigger. Who do we have? Buccaneers, Falcons, neck and neck. Bengals, Browns. Dolphins didn't play great, but the Dolphins also smacked the Panthers 2 years ago, like the Jaguars did 2 years ago. Cardinals, Saints. That's gonna be interesting. Cardinals won by 7. They had spent the Rattler throw it 46 times. Damn. Cardinals only beat the Saints by 7? I mean, interesting. Steelers and Jets look good. Giants, Commanders. Cam Ward, I mean, to me, nobody looked bad, to be honest. The Panthers looked bad, but I'm going through some of these scores. The Patriots didn't play great. The Dolphins didn't either, but Dolphins' biggest strength is their passing. Panthers' biggest weakness is the pass rush. So let me check real quick, Daryl. It's crazy how optimistic we were this week, and now look at us. The Thielen trade really, I think, the Thielen trade, and you compound that with the Coker injury, you kind of flip the ship a little bit. The Thielen trade, I'm a little bit confused about, but I'm not completely confused about. But then Coker getting hurt on top of that, it just, man. If we pick top 10, Daryl, I don't know yet, to be honest with you. Let me who else? Let me put up some of these free agents for inside linebackers real quick. Is this inside? It's just linebackers in general. All right, it says inside. No, Von Miller's okay. Now, who's a free agent though? Let's see. No. Available. Okay, here we go. So let's see. All right, I'm gonna pull on the list real quick so we can see. Let me zoom in real quick. Zoom out. Exit that ad. Yeah, this is pretty much everybody. Okay. So let's share this. All right, let me rename that. The linebackers. Share. Boom, 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 boom. Alrighty. Let's put in. Gotta get rid of some stuff real quick. Track down. Send the depth chart. Rookies we should be good with for now. Nah, Douglas, you're probably right. You're probably right on that. But as far as linebackers, this is who we're looking at. You got Zadarius Smith. You got Jawan Bentley. You got Josie Jewell. And Josie Jewell's what? He's got the concussion thing, so I don't see him going anywhere. I see you, Funko Bear. We'll get to that in a second. Kaiser White, Devondre Campbell, Kendricks. Kendricks is old. You got Neville. Never heard of Neville. Neville? Little Harry Potter character. Cameron Brown. I mean, did they do age like that? All right, that's the age, I guess. So 33, 29, and 2 months. Interesting. Shout out to Spot Track. They're pretty or Spot Track. 29 years old and 4 months. I mean, I don't see anybody here who I'm like, they can make a change. I don't know. Do the Panthers need a game changer at inside linebacker, or do they just need somebody to be consistent, not get hurt? Then wrap up. I thought Chris Barnes was good. Does Chris Barnes? He's on the practice squad. Was he that bad? When I watched him, I thought he was good. Was Chris Barnes that bad? I don't know. It also reminds me of when certain players, Gilbert Arenas talked about this, Jeff Teague talked about this, where they make $20-30 million, right? Or another player does, but then the second round pick only makes $2 million. They're better than that $20 million guy, but they're not going to play him and put a $20 million guy on the bench. And I'm almost wondering if that's what's happening with Trevin Wallace right now. Right? Second year, third round pick. We're not going to bench him yet. You bench Bryce. Let me stop. If you give up 200 yards on the ground, you have to make a change. They didn't really make it. Like, if you think about it, Roseman with Josie Jewell, I don't see a big change there if I'm being honest. And I would take a potential Shaq Thompson, healthy or not, for $1 million over either one if I'm being honest right now. Just, it feels like for some leadership in the front seven. Because this is our options right now. If we end up picking top 10, yeah, we'll have to go over that. I don't know. We talked about with McMillan. I said we'll have to wait. Season could get better, but maybe we'll start talking about that soon. I hope not, but maybe. We need to play Jimmy Horn Jr. more and see what he has on the field during a real game. Yeah, T, that's what I said earlier. The Jags, do I still have it? Let me see. Jags consistently played off, right? Consistently played off. Jimmy Horn, give him a drag underneath. I think this is the one was the hot read right here. Or you get the 10-yard slant, bang. Edge guy's going to come in. This is what I'm saying, right? They played 10 yards off. Give Jimmy Horn a shot. Right here, they pressed. What? Hold up. That was the rub route right there, right? Where Bryce Young doesn't put enough on it. But again, I think I was saying Yosh before. I guess his name is Yosh. Yosh gets destroyed. Right, so when Bryce Young underthrows this, Hines Allen is in Bryce Young's face, and Hunter Renfrow hasn't even escaped off that pick route yet. So they were pressing, playing off, and they couldn't find something for Jimmy Horn. They couldn't find something. And you see with T-Mac, look how they're playing him. Right, so press right here. We're going to play off T-Mac. We're not going to press him because we don't want to get beat over the top. put Jimmy Horn in. Make them, respect him as well. Right? 3rd and 6, they're like, okay, we can't get beat over the top. We're going to try and jump it. Nope, not going to happen. So if they're playing off perfect for Jimmy Horn, if they press Jimmy Horn perfect, let him improve. I think we still have the depth charts. We do. Look at the depth charts. Who needs to improve the most for this team to be successful down the road? David Moore is 28, 29, 30 years old. Doesn't matter. Right? Renfro, kind of the same thing. And then Leggett, he's in, right? So he'll improve. Put Jimmy Horn in. Right? Let him improve. Give him some burn. To not play him at all it's a little crazy. All right. Put back up that linebacker list though. We are picking top 10. We'll be drafting a new quarterback at some point. Yeah, if we're picking it, you might be right, Brad. And Douglas, yeah. That's the reason Alexander didn't come here from Green Bay. It turns out that might not have been a bad thing because Jared Alexander did not look good against Buffalo. Ooh, they did that boy dirty. How come Handsome Davis coaching so conservatively? Let's talk about this, Uncle Barry. Let's talk about this real quick. Dave, I go back and forth on because you saw him in Seattle, right? Or you didn't see him, but you got a glimpse. Tampa Bay goes out with Baker, does crazy numbers. And then Rashad White and I don't know if Bucky was on the team yet or not, but Rashad White and other running back, they did their thing. Comes to Carolina, run guy. But you get T-Mac, you get Jimmy Horn, you draft Leggett and everything else, but you're still going to just run the ball, right? So this whole Dave Canales coaching, I don't understand at all. I really don't understand it, to be honest. Brad said we have a quarterback that's limited, can't open up the playbook to a point, but you have to also look around and look at the receivers. It's not great there either. Game changer, bro. This team was lost with no leader. Are we talking offense or defense? Because I don't know that we have really one on either side right now. I like Barnes too. Yeah, I'm confused. Jimmy wasn't dressed out. Maybe I don't think he's hurt. Jimmy Horn. So he just wasn't active. So he wasn't on the 50. Interesting. All right. Yeah, I didn't know that. I was a little bit late watching it. Right. So I guess I missed that. I was there for the whole weather delay though. Woo. That was the worst part about Sunday. And I talked about this when I did the stream, Sunday after the game. Sitting there for an hour and 40 minutes waiting, for the game to start just for them to get smacked. That was worse. That was the worst thing about Sunday. Was that right there? That was bad. An hour and 40. I was like, I might take a nap. No, I'm not gonna take a nap. I don't know, man. It's just right now. I just hope we're not in that same position where we're talking about drafting a guy like T-Mac week 6, week 7, because everyone's like, "Oh, you got to check out Tedder McMillan for Arizona." I'm like, who is that? Why did the Panthers get a receiver? And week 4, week 5, week 6, week 7, week 8, I'm like, all right. By week 10, I started texting friends and family about, you guys know who Tedder McMillan is? Oh yeah, the receiver. I'm like, I don't think the Panthers are going to pick that high. Sure enough. Though, I don't know. I'm lost right now, to be honest, because I hope there's not another season. But it seems like, based off the film, it just seems like that's where we're headed. And this part was I should have made a short of this. I should have made a short of this one. That delay was solid 100%. Taking running back top 5. Yeah, Braveheart, you might be right. Offensive line, Blake. Yeah. Now here's the thing. Somebody left an odd comment too, but I won't even address that one. But left tackle Josh was. I see you, Michael. Left tackle was bad. Josh was bad. Now I think if Icky's playing, Matter of fact, let me know in the comments. I'm gonna look it up real quick. If Ickey's playing, I do give the Panthers a chance. If Ickey's not playing, I don't see us winning. I'm not seeing any. Let me know if you guys see anything. I'm still not seeing anything on Ickey yet. I know Dave talked about him. Boom, boom. I know that. All right, he was in pads in practice yesterday, so individual drills. So let's just assume he is. If he is, I do think we have a chance to win against the Cardinals. If he's not, I don't think so. Oh, man. All right, hold up. But this play alone, this play cracked me up. Because XL is the one not to blame on this play. XL actually has to go through a lot of obstacles on this play. So first thing, okay, is going to be, we have our block right, or not a block. T-Mac should take him deep. Okay, perfect. Tremble should pick him up. XL has to make one guy miss. All right, he makes him miss. Perfect. I see Yash right here. I'm like, okay, go lead block real quick or go pick him up. Bang. You got Mitchell Evans right here too. T-Mac with his guy. We have a chance. Instead, Yash runs right towards XL. Bruh, what? It's a screen. Why would you run back? Right? It's like there's no trust in XL to break that tackle. If he clears this out, there's a chance. But instead, he runs towards XL. That gives this guy a chance, right? XL's going to make him miss. T-Mac kind of blows his block right there. I mean, this might sum up the Panther season right here. It's just, bruh, what are we doing? Yeah, T, that's exactly my thoughts too. And it's funny because XL actually makes some pretty incredible moves right here. And he's not the one to blame. Oh man. But you see how important left tackle is, right? Because if we go back, I'm already on the film. Let's take a look. Is this the one who gets drilled right here? Oh, this is the one where Rico, yeah, right here, Rico sees the edge guy coming in. He decides to dip out. Right? I don't know how you guys saw this one. Take a look. All right, they're going to send him off the edge right there. Rico sees the nickel coming in. He sees him, right? He sees that nickel coming in. He's like, let me dip out real quick. Bryce Young, take that hit. It's just one thing after another. Which one was this? Let me see. That was Sanders. Sanders makes a good catch right there. All right, XL time. Can I move myself? Let me take a look. All right, perfect. Yeah, we haven't touched on this one yet. Okay, no. Is it one more out? Let me take a look. Yep, right. So high-low read. This might have been a cover 6, though, from the Jags, not a cover 2 like the Panthers were in. Right, so we're forcing low or high. And Bryce Young actually makes a hell of a throw right here, to be honest. Right, because that DB, he commits kind of underneath, but he doesn't fully commit. And XL, he's still kind of running that route. Bryce Young's throwing it right there, pressure in his face. I mean, he's got to come down with that. That's a hell of a throw. Right, Bryce Young didn't play great, but this throw right here, it's 3-17. He gets 2 feet in right here. You get the ball inside the 20. He's got to come down with that, man. That's a hell of a throw. Right, you get the exact look you want. Bang. Get that DB that sits underneath. And then right here, what happened here? That was T-Mac. And this is what T-Mac was dealing with, right? Man up. Bang. Fights off that at the top of the route. And look at that separation he creates right there. Him and Bryce Young have pretty good timing too. Bang. I'm excited to see what T-Mac does this second week. You know, I'm excited to see what he can do week 2. And then the infamous red zone play. I mean, it was definitely a clown show, right? If we look at week 1, it was a clown show. But the schedule, man, schedule doesn't get any easier, right? Falcons, you know, we'll see. Patriots will be tough. I just think going to Foxborough, anytime you play away, it's definitely tougher than at home. I don't know, man. I just watched the 2015 Panthers documentary. It's good. Talks about the Panthers then and everything they've done. I think this team should watch it. I mean, Michael, I agree with you, but if we're not doing the basics, if we're not toe tapping, if we're getting beat over the top on play action, beginning and end of the game, if we're blowing contain as a starting edge, maybe not starting, but second string, I just don't know how much motivation's gonna do. At some point, you got to know the fundamentals, you know. Players not prepared. Yeah, Brad. I mean, that's what I'm saying, Brad. Is not prepared, and just, you know, Dave is so big on the whole fundamentals thing, and then we do this. The whole, I mean, you look at the highlights. The big run, it was a mistake. Nick Scott blew it, you know, fine. But Nick Scott's not the only one who got. Nick Scott's taken a lot of slack for it because he hasn't played great this year or the one game and then all of last year. But Trevin Wallace gets sucked in, you know. Just the defense as a whole, fundamentally, it sucks. All right, Shiloh Sanders is free. I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like the money at this point is potentially going to be what Jeremy Chin was 3 years ago. You know, Corby gets one more chance. I think he even said, don't quote me on this, but was it a press conference or a news thing I read on the Panthers website where Corbett was shocked by the looks that the Jaguars threw at them? So it's like, what is actually going on here? Offensive line is struggling because they didn't know what looks were coming. Defensive line, they did okay. Linebackers were struggling in match coverage. Secondary's playing 40 yards off the ball. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the Panthers need. And I don't know that any of these guys, Zadarius Smith at 33, Juwan Bentley at 30, can actually make a difference. You know, Kendricks, I mean, nobody on here is going to be good for the future, I don't think. You know, the Panthers, they loaded up at edge, but I mean, you had to get pass rushers, right? But at the same time, you got to be able to stop that run on the inside. We know the fundamental is just coordination. They try to keep signal Bryce right when they know that they can catch the ball. Yeah, I think offensively and defensively, Michael, you're right. You're right. That every real pass defense needs to go. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. He's either trying to play safe or trying to blitz. When I watched Spagnuolo, Chiefs defensive coordinator against the Chargers, Chiefs were getting smacked in the first half, defensively wise. Second half, Spags comes out. He's just sending things left, right, up the gut. He's sending everything. Herbert doesn't know what to do, right? Chiefs almost came back, and then Chris Jones blew contain. But that's what I want to see from Avira when something's not working. You know, flip the gun, right? If we give up something great, you know, the Panthers. Can I pull up the schedule from last year? Let me see. The Panthers have constantly been giving up so many points. At some point, just take a chance. But again, it goes back to adaptability, and the Panthers don't have that. They do not adapt. I'll zoom in one more time. I'll zoom out real quick. I guess I got that one, that two. Boom, 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 boom. One sec, guys. Let's pull something real quick. Let's rename that 2024 schedule. Boom, 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 boom. Alrighty, let's add that thing. So let's take a look real quick. All right. Floyd said we have the talent, but in my opinion, something is off with the coaching. Please correct me if I'm wrong, though. The channel, my friend. I appreciate that, Floyd. No, I mean, talent and fundamentals are, the same thing, but two different things. And we're getting beat on the fundamentals week 1 against the Jags. The Jags week 1. I mean, look who else we have to play. The Jags, they had Brian Thomas Jr. They didn't even really use him. Right? And you go to some of these other teams that have more than one weapon that can take it to the goal every single time. It's kind of what scares me. But as we look at the 2024 schedule, part of this was on Bryce Young. All right, the first couple of games, 47-10. I mean, that's on Bryce Young. That's on the defense, though. Right? So last year started off giving up 47. Chargers, they did a number of us on the ground. Then you go to Vegas, right? Andy Dalton starts. Vegas is pretty bad. But you win, right? 36-22, perfect. Then you lose to the Bengals 34. Then you give up 36. Then you give up 38. Then you give up 40. All right? Then you give up 28. You play the Saints, who weren't very good, if we're being honest, and the Giants, who weren't great either. You give 22-17. Give up 30. Give up 26. Give up 22. 30. 30. 48 and 38. The defense as a whole, man, it hasn't been great from the beginning of last year to the end. Now, last year, a bunch of injuries, obviously. Offense wasn't great either, but when the offense got clicking, still giving up 30 consistently, it's just not great. Not surprised if Vero doesn't adjust. He couldn't find guys. Or couldn't find a way to use guys correctly, like Luvu correctly, because he didn't fight this game. Yeah, Luvu, Jeremy Chen, 100% agree. And the other thing to look at right here is this. If we look at receiving, unfortunately, StreamYard blocks part of it. You got Thielen leads. I think that's Thielen. Thielen leads week 1. Tremble week 2. Tremble led with 23 receiving yards week 2. Deontay Johnson did his thing. Week 3, week 4, then Coker, Deontay, Jatavion, Coker, Sanders, Coker, David Moore, Thielen, Coker, Thielen, Coker. Right, so after week 7, you had Sanders in there once, but it was mostly Thielen and Coker. And neither one of them are on the team anymore. So now somebody else has to be that guy. And I don't see T-Mac playing the slot a lot, to be honest with you. You don't want to run him inside routes, right? You don't want to take kind of years off of his football life getting hit by the mic or the jack on the inside. Somebody's going to have to step up in the slot. It could be Renfro. It could. But somebody's going to have to step up. Thielen played the slot quite a bit. Moore obviously played the slot. Coker played the slot. Coker played both. But the slot's going to have to get answered for before the Panthers have success. Thielen and Coker were the guys, and neither one of them are available for Bryce Young right now. So kind of tells you the pickle we're in. It's not good. It's not good at all. And the Buccaneers, that was a lead rusher with 20. Damn. XL needs to play the slot when Coker comes back. Yeah, I don't. I wouldn't hate that. But XL's got to improve though too. Especially the route running. When you're in the slot, your route running has to be good. Otherwise, might be in a pickle. All right, but that's probably gonna wrap it up for me, guys. Got some things to get done. I hope everyone enjoyed the stream. Probably gonna start doing live streams on Friday. Could go an hour, could go 2, could go 3 hours. Hopefully, we have more positive, fun stuff to talk about next Friday. Because another losing season, man, it's just, it's rough. Especially when it feels like we're not getting any better at all. It almost feels like we're getting worse, right? When you look at the film. You know. So with that being said, I hope everyone enjoys their Friday. Have a happy Friday. Sunday, after the game, we'll be live streaming. I'll catch you guys then. Take it easy. Cancel Devices out. Peace.